Good morning. Happy Solstice and Happy Father's Day. Welcome to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Kate Kirkwood, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning. Normally, if you'd like more information about FirstU, it would be available at the welcome table at the back of the pews. However, while the FirstU building is shut down because of the COVID-19 virus, you may instead contact us through email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. I repeat, for more information, please email us at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. Usually after our Sunday services, we've been having a virtual hospitality hour. Today instead will be our annual general meeting. Please join us next week and throughout the summer for our online Sunday services, followed by the virtual hospitality hour. If you'd like to join us for hospitality hour this summer, please see our website, firstunitarianottawa.ca, or our weekly email newsletter, the EUU, for more information on how to do so. Today is also National Indigenous Peoples Day. On a typical Sunday when we meet in our building, our order of service will include a statement that appears in this video and on our website. I will repeat that statement now as well. We acknowledge that our campus is located on unceded traditional Algonquin territory and that all Canadians have treaty responsibilities. Our goal is to educate ourselves and all who have ears to hear, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, and however you identify, today you are a part of our spiritual community. Welcome. We hope you come back soon.
Thank you, Kate. Bonjour. Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Guthmann, Haresch. Well, you can call me Pat, minister of the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. Although the doors of our building are closed to do our part in preventing the spread of disease, we still are a vibrant congregation with open minds, spirits, and hearts. This morning I welcome you into my home and the homes of our music director and this morning's worship associate. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. It is a beautiful thing to think that even though we are in separate places, protecting ourselves and others by staying away from a crowd, here we are together online, listening, connecting, and soon singing. I hope this moment finds you well. A few more announcements. While the building is closed, staff are working remotely, and we are monitoring our emails during the week during the regular work day. We're not monitoring the phone quite as often. So really the quickest response will come if you email us. As we won't be seeing each other in person, it is more important than ever to be signed up for our weekly EUU newsletter. Check our Facebook page, check our website. Our congregational calendar is as full as ever. Friday's EUU included information on our 9 a.m. Sunday morning forums, how to, for instance, get a recording of a few of those, the weekly religious exploration lesson, very importantly, information on how to get in touch with this morning's annual general meeting. That will happen if you're listening Sunday, June 21st, right after this video. Also in the EUU was information on sessions regarding wills and powers of attorney, learn how to acquire masks, about virtual summer choir nights, our various check-ins. You can find the link in our EUU, how to help organizations and our community in this time of COVID-19. There is so much there. So do check out the EUU. If you're reluctant or having trouble connecting with Zoom, since we are connecting in the congregation in so many ways through Zoom, We do have an informational email for someone to contact you and help you if you'd like someone to help you. And you can email zoominfo@firstunitarianottawa.com. Also, if you need to schedule a Zoom appointment, contact our operations manager at omr@firstunitarianottawa.ca. Did I say .com? It should be .ca. Anyway, it's good to be together this morning. So this morning is Father's Day. For this Father's Day and also the summer solstice, right? Happy summer. I have these words adapted from the Reverend Christine Grossel-Schmidt for our chalice reading this morning. She begins, ground of all being, great nurturing spirit, this morning especially, we give thanks for beautiful days moving from spring to summer, for flowers and green trees and freshly cut grass in lazy afternoons, for being together in this moment, for a rather auspicious congregational year, and for all who father. For all who have good memories, warm and loving relationships with their fathers and children, we share your joy. For those who, for whatever reason, did not know their fathers, we will think of you and remember that this can be an uncomfortable day for you and others. We are with you. And for those whose relationships with their fathers or children are painful and complicated, our hearts are with you. This Father's Day, we lift up our gratitude for all kinds of fathers, whether related by blood or not. And finally, with words from my friend and colleague, the Reverend Carole Allman Morton. May all of us, no matter what our place in the cycle of life, experience nurture and love. and may we pass on that love to those we encounter on our path. May it be so. Let us sing the Chalice Song. Chalice, chalice, burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we'd like to live each day with love and truth helping lead the way. This is the time in the service when we are drawn closer to the heart of love at our center and hold those both near and far, loved ones and strangers in our hearts. In the words of Alice Berry, we are nurtured, sustained, given warmth and light from above and below, supported by earth's strong, firm crust. When we turn from self and seek to be aware, we will find holy light in human faces, in blossom, birdsong, and sky. Then earth is truly our home, and we are one with all earth's creatures. Today I place stones in the water that some of you have asked me to place for those you are thinking of, joys and concerns. So I want to start with a stone of joy. For a new grandson in Margaret and David's life, and also a new son for Kate and Amal, and a new brother for Eleanor Rose. But as life is, also a stone of remembrance. For a long time, supporter and member of FirstU, Kay Heffler, who we just learned died last October. Kay appeared in the 1967 directory, so that is a long-time member. We are thinking of Kay, remembering her and thinking of her family. Another stone. Kate had shared that 47 years ago on this day, her father, Jack Kirkwood, died. She recalls that ever since then, midsummer has been both joyful and sad, or at least now full of memories. Kate shared that Jack was a kind, loving, wonderful father, and he lives on in her heart. And Kate, the fruit just doesn't fall far from the tree. So a stone in honor of Jack. I think of my father, Howard, too, so often. And I think of all of you who also are holding your fathers in your hearts. For all those, a bunch of stones. And one last stone. May you envision all the weight of the world in this stone, and let it sink in the water. When it does, let the heaviness be washed away, and may you start to feel the levity and lightness of summer. May it be so. I shared a story in our latest edition of The Spire, a story that came from the Reverend Kathy Page, Minister Emerita at the Kingston UU Fellowship. she had mentioned to me, and she had said it this way. She said, well, we were talking about something related to the pandemic. And she said, well, you know the story about the Lighthouse Preservation Society. Well, I didn't know the story, and I Googled it. And what I found online was something like this. It said that many years ago, there was a little village on a rocky, treacherous seacoast, often battered by storms. Many ships were driven onto the rocks by the storm, and the lives of many sailors were lost because of the raging seas. Eventually, the people decided among themselves that they should establish a lighthouse and a life-saving station on a little peninsula on the coast to warn ships away from the rocks and to save the lives of those who were cast into the sea, into the icy waters. And they were able to secure the necessary funds for their project and soon built a tower and set in the tower a beacon. They organized a lookout system, and they bought boats and learned how to man them. And eventually they were in business. They were in the business of saving lives. One day, someone suggested that since they spent so much time at the lighthouse, they should gather there occasionally and enjoy some good fellowship. They began to get together there more and more often, and soon people were starting to build their homes there near the lighthouse. Then when the lookout sounded the alarm, they were there, right there, ready to go and go to the boats. As they were spending even more time at the lighthouse, they decided that they should make the place a little more comfortable. So they started a Lighthouse Preservation Society to draw members and raise funds. And of course, got a property committee going, and the property committee made sure that they had utilities and heat in the lighthouse. There was a new design committee. They decided the gray walls were a bit dreary, so they painted the walls a brilliant white. Paneling would be nice on some of the walls too, eh? And rugs were selected to cover the bare concrete. Why have it be looking so institutional? A fine kitchen was installed with the latest appliances. The lighthouse became an even nicer place to spend time waiting for the alarm to be sounded. One night, a fierce storm blew in, as so many storms before for years, and many ships were tossed on the jagged rocks, and the volunteer rescue team at the lighthouse spent long hours picking out sailors from the bitter cold, icy waters and taking them to the lighthouse. The sailors were fed and provided dry clothing. This had happened many times over the years, but this time, after the storm had subsided and the sailors had all left the lighthouse, there were some disgruntled members of the rescue team and the Lighthouse Preservation Society. The storm had just been so fierce and cold and dangerous, and they were certain no other team had had such difficulties. They even began to wonder, was it worth the risk? The design committee especially was not very happy. The sailors they had rescued had left the lighthouse with dirty carpets. And the kitchen volunteers were upset that the kitchen was a mess, not to mention those new appliances. After a brief meeting, it was decided perhaps when they rescued people and they were wet, they should be taken to the basement, not in the nice upper areas. Well, and after you save someone's life, you'd think they could show some appreciation and maybe clean up the kitchen after themselves, right? And don't even get me started about the bathrooms. You'd think they'd help with the bathrooms. Well, thankfully, over the years, the lighthouse area on the peninsula had fewer and fewer storms. And the lighthouse became more and more of a social center with committees and task forces and fundraisers and great picnics. Over time, the Lighthouse Preservation Society became very focused on keeping the tower and its grounds spruced up, the committees populated, and the kitchen and social gatherings going. But there were fewer and fewer sessions to train the rescuers. And after a while, the mechanisms to keep the lighthouse beacon going, well, those had broken down. And no one committee felt it was their responsibility to restore the beacon. The Preservation Society held meeting after meeting to discuss the problem, but the meetings seemed to go nowhere. The beacon was out of repair, and no volunteers could be found for the rescue crew. Well, of course, eventually, another storm blew in, but there was no beacon light. The nearby ships were not warned of the rocky shores and crashed. Sailors called for help as their ships sank or were overcome by the waves. An alarm sounded to call together the rescue team, but you know what? There were no volunteers to gather. It was a tragic night on the peninsula. The Lighthouse Preservation Society had preserved a lovely spot and had successful fund drives, committees, and teams, lovely spaces to meet, but they had forgotten their original life-saving purpose. Like the Lighthouse Preservation Society, I think sometimes the busyness of a congregation can steer us away from our purpose and our mission. It's in a strange way, like a fierce storm, this pandemic has brought into focus what we are about. Perhaps the business of saving lives, the business of life-saving, caring for each other, reaching out to each other in a time of isolation, seeking ways to help the greater community, fostering hope for the future. May we continue to kindle this light. May the beacon burn bright so others may be helped out of stormy seas and find their way to FirstU, a place they never knew would be their home. Let us not forget our purpose. These words from my friend and colleague, the Reverend Andy Pakula, who serves in the UK. Let there be dark, for it is from our dark places that we are brought forward, tried and tested, and impelled toward growth. It is in these places that we realize compassion and learn to love. And let there be light, the light of joy, the light of happiness, and the light of contentment. May it illuminate our paths and fill our lives with peace. May the light within you, within me, spread to each other. May the light within our congregation grow and spread to the greater community. May we be a beacon, and may the beacon burn bright. May it be so.
This is a time in our service that we usually accept the offering. You may go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you might keep up with your pledge or make a donation during these times. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Let us sing.
From the light of days remembered,
For our closing words as we extinguish the chalice, these words by James Morrison. Within each of our hearts there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passions to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world. Hey, Alex, do you want to extinguish the chalice? Can you do that? Oh, you're just going to blow it out, or you're going to do this?
Blowing out doesn't really work.
Okay.
I really want to go out.
You can blow it. There we go.
This is on fire.
Let us
This is
sing
on fire.
Spirit of Life.
This is on fire.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Cool vida spori de justiça, tenurimos, cielo patuo, source de vie, viens vers moi, viens vers moi. I hope to see you soon at the annual general meeting. For now, go in peace, go in joy, go in love, and may all be well. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.